Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Tibera here, as always and as usual. On today's episode, we are here to analyze Enugu lately after May 29th inauguration that announced or inaugurated Peter Mbah as the governor of Enugu. And as usual, I'm with my dear friend Esquire Onoha, aka Okame. I want to make a t-shirt. Alright, Okame.
I should do that.
Yeah, it's necessary because that Okame is becoming popular.
But some people don't understand why he specifically said Okame, the former governor. Let me make it clear. It's just because I got my LLB from Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Awka.
Okay.
So he saw that on my profile on my website.
Okay. So he actually did some digging around
obviously
it.
He did some digging.
Well, that's what he does. If you've encountered Dr. Chimaroke Mbah on public domain, Twitter Spaces most especially, he likes to address people from their roots, from their background. So if I'm to argue with him, or even not even argue, because he sees everything as argument actually, but if I'm to even to have a conversation with him, he's going to be like, oh, Vera, Nwa Mike. From he's going to go maybe even 3 generations to really tell me that he knows me. And I feel that's some form of intimidation coming from him, because he wants to let you know that I know you, I know where you're from, I can easily find you, and well,
it's a psychological weapon,
right? To suppress you and make you feel some kind of way. But anyways, this is Okame right here with me, and today we'll be looking at Peter Mbah's tenure, Peter Mbah's regime, Peter Mbah's governance 52 days after inauguration. And I'm going to tell you something. When Peter Mbah came into play, and this is me being as candid as possible, going by the general opinion, what we saw play out. I've talked about this on this channel. When Peter Mbah emerged as the flag bearer of PDP, it was a shock to everybody, except maybe those that knew him. An average Enugu person did not know Peter Mbah.
True.
There was no poster, there was no flyer, there was nothing about Peter Mbah. So the people we were looking up to then was Edoga, surprisingly, Professor Barton Naji, even Chinyakoha. Yeah, Chinyakoha was also a very popular candidate at the time. I knew him when he was a commissioner or something, Ministry of Finance, Enugu. He did some good job there. So yeah, how did I forget that man? Yes, if you're watching this video, hi. I don't know if you're going to see that. But yeah, Chinyakoha was also there. Even this guy from Ngo, Ken Ono. At some point I saw his flash. So there were a lot of guys or men who were, in the race, and those that were even rumored to be in the race. Out of the blues announcement, they said Peter Mbah. I was like, how? Who? Maybe it's a typographical error, or he emerged and there was some sort of let's say laundry. Well, it wouldn't be laundering, because if he had bad image, it would be laundry. But there was some sort of conviction. People, there was a campaign, like an immediate campaign as to this is whom he is. He's not new. He's been this. He's been that. So information started flying up and down, like. His team or whoever, his team were sort of prepared. I'm sure they already knew, they felt the temperature of the city already, knew that this is people's fear. So they started publishing information. Oh, he was this, he was a commissioner.
He was a commissioner, he was a chief
of staff. He's this, he's that, things still come. And of course, when this information come, there was a counter information, people that said that he rigged or embezzled Enugu's money with Dr. Chimaroke Mbah. They set up Pinnacle story. So the more his team is giving us information, the opposition is giving us the gbasgbos. So Peter Mbah came, and then people were like, how on earth, what are we going to do with this man? I mean, he's already in PDP, and with the history of Enugu, once you're PDP, go. There's nothing, nobody's even doing that. And I felt he felt comfortable with that, because at that time, just his billboards, you never hear him speak. He's not visiting anybody. If he's going to visit, it's probably his peers. If you see people like Odengene, they'll take picture, just within the circle. And while others were campaigning, people like Frank Mweka of ABGA and all that. But what I'm saying is that after the presidential election, where there was like an upset of the political class, when P2B came as the great wind that shook everybody.
The tsunami.
Yeah, the tornado, Vera. It can't be me, don't use my name. But that thing made a lot of people, especially the governorship candidates, uncomfortable, so they start coming out more. So that's why we start seeing Peter Mbah in public spaces, honoring Twitter spaces and all that. But eventually he won. But one of the major things people that campaigned for him sold to us was that he's a technocrat. He's not like these guys. In fact, they even tried to dispel the fact that he's not a Chimaroke's boy, because Enugu do not have a good history with Chimaroke. I mean, he did a good job according to you, because I mean, I think I was a kid when he was the governor, but anybody that is coming from Chimaroke is assumed that Chimaroke is going to run the town, and they don't want him to run the town. So he was able to dissociate himself from that. And they saw to us that he was a technocrat, being able to have set up a business, done so well for himself. There were a lot of good things about him that people were asking us to believe in this guy. That it's no longer to be business as usual in Enugu, and he has come in, and it's 52 days. And one of the popular things we are hoping on was Enugu will have water in 180 days. I mean, for me, Nigeria, if you're a Nigerian living in Nigeria, we have become so cheap that any good thing, even if it's one, we'll accept, we'll be grateful. I mean, I'm never asking for much. Before, I used to ask for good road, water, data, like we had expectation, good investment policies and all that. But right now, if someone is coming to tell me that I'm going to have water, I don't have to buy tanker water, whatever, you have solved my problem. I might as well worship you. But I'm not going to do that, because my worship is for God alone. But since he has come in, I can tell you that the hope it's like black. We are not feeling him. The energy he came in with, the fact that he became the social media governor. Our previous governor was not. He became, he wants to be the complete opposite of what we had before. But it's like every new day we wake up and we are like, oh, Soludo, you have to take this one. You're like, we are going to the Soludo because people had so much of his Soludo. And Soludo is messing up. Anyways, let's not go there. But I mean,
I don't know where to start, but let me start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, you were right that when Peter Mbah emerged as the flag bearer of the PDP, it was a shock to many of us observers. I didn't see him coming at all. Okay, so but then, like you rightly said, immediately after there were materials coming out from his team. In fact, the very next day there was this set of billboards all over town. Thank you, Enugu. Yeah. So then,
like, how did they print that?
Yeah. So I'm sure must have been done over the night. Yeah. But there's an area I disagree with you.
Okay.
You kind of said that he wasn't doing much. I disagree, because I was a very keen observer. It's there on my social media handles, Twitter especially, that Peter Mbah didn't give me that. I didn't get that vibe of Ojebego.
Okay.
I saw him as somebody who, despite knowing, or he should know, that Enugu has been PDP from 1999, I saw him walk his socks off. I saw him campaign. You may not be aware, but I know that, I mean, he moved around. In fact, at a point, one of the things I said was that this guy appears to me to be working harder than, people who should be working more than him.
Okay, wait, sorry to cut you. This hard work, when was it? This was after the presidential or before the presidential?
No, way before the presidential. I'm even talking about last year. Okay. Part of the places where I saw him was, by this time I've already gotten that impression of him. In the month of December, we had our MBA Conference. Law Week in Enugu here. That's the Enugu Barr. I was a member of the planning committee of that event, and part of the things we did was we said let's invite the front runner candidates. Okay, so we invited Peter Mbah, we invited Edoga, we invited Frank Nweke.
Uchennaji.
I think yes, we also invited Uchennaji. He didn't come, but these other three gentlemen came. So Peter Mbah came. So I know that he was, but what I observed, he was doing the normal PDP method of campaign. They hold town hall meetings here, town hall meetings there. He was moving around. He was walking. And those things are out on his social media platform, Twitter especially. So I felt that, in fact, at a point, I felt that he was working harder than the people that should work hard to upset PDP. He did put in work. That is my opinion. Then eventually the elections came, and then he was declared the winner. He was sworn in, and immediately he was sworn in. Okay, there were some things that he sold to Enugu that for me it is interesting, because some of the things he said in his manifesto and in those public engagements with him were things that we can hold on to. Okay, I want to contrast that with some other person who did not give us a manifesto until a couple of days to the election. I'm talking about Edoga didn't bring out a manifesto until the last moment before the election. His reasons then was that that it will be copied, that other people will steal his ideas. That was why I don't know where in the world where people do that you are campaigning for an office and you wouldn't release your manifesto officially because you feel that people will steal your ideas in the manifesto. I mean, it's easy to show that people have stolen your ideas. You have released it first. Yeah. We know the date you released it. If another person steals it and mentions it, you should be able to say, no, this is my idea. I brought it out first on so date. But that is a different conversation. Yeah. All right. So Peter Mbah said some things that we could hold on to. One of them was the issue of water you mentioned. His promise was that in 180 days from the time he assumes office, that Enugu will have water. That is one. Then another thing that I am also looking forward to is that he said that he will build 10,000 kilometers of road.
Yeah.
In Enugu.
Why did I forget that?
Yes. When he said that, people started arguing that, how can you say that? That is not possible. They were judging by the square kilometer, the perimeter of Enugu, that is even not up to 1/10 of that. But I mean, it doesn't make sense, because talk about internal roads within the city. You can have 20,000 kilometers of roads inside Enugu. So, but that is video. So that's another thing another promise he made that people can hold on to. There are so many of them. Okay. So, and then in the issue of security, he talked about his plans to end sit-at-home in Enugu, restore security in Enugu and all that. So, then, of course, there's another issue about waste management. You will agree with me that at a point, Enugu was dirty and smelling.
When you say dirty and smelly, it's an understatement. Enugu became, let me not shade my other sister town, but Enugu and Aba were competing. Like, who's gonna stench more? Like, I smell more than you. And there was a time you couldn't get fresh air in Enugu. I couldn't even make my road tour videos in Enugu because everywhere was dirty.
Oh my goodness! I made one evening. It's still out there on my Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that.
I just drove around Enugu in less than 30 minutes and filmed with my phone dump stands in Enugu. It was terrible.
It was like a competition.
I mean, it was that bad at a point. Okay, so one of the things he also talked about was how to clean up the city. And I think that when Peter Mbah came in, that was the area I think he started focusing on immediately. He first decided to clear all the dump stands in Enugu. In fact, in some locations, places where we haven't seen tarred road, like you wouldn't know that there is tarred road beneath the dumps. Now we are seeing the tarred road. So a lot of work has been done in that area, among other areas. It's not as if it is all wonderful. I have wonderful things to say about his administration so far from beginning to end. But there are positives. There are places where I think he could have done things a little bit differently in terms of method and all that. But
yeah, talking about method, I think one of the places is the sit-at-home ban, because when he came up with that, a lot of people, in fact, there were two parties. There were those who were supporting it, and there were those who were vehemently against it, saying that, his approach wasn't good, that he should have, it was like how they say that casting a cat before the horse, or casting the horse before the cat. Like, instead of him just putting out there that we are banning this, everybody should come out on Monday, he should have had conversation with the stakeholders or the people, because the sit at home is as a result of like, it's a movement. There's a reason for that. You should have addressed that before that. So, and then a lot of people have also grown lazy. Mondays are the days you walk out in Enugu, you drive by, you see a lot of people playing football matches in their neighborhoods and all that. So those ones are also like, Mbah, don't touch our Mondays now, a rest day for us. But what do you think about that, his approach towards the end of sit at home, and the fact that it seems, I'm not sure there's a direct relationship, but it seems like after he said that there was some sort of increment in insecurity in Enugu, things we were not used to tried to become the norm. And then the recent, I don't know if it's an attack or whatever, at his Pinnacle oil filling station in New Haven. So what do you think of the approach? Do you think you should have done that better? And then do you think there's a link between that and the increased insecurity in Enugu?
So there's a way I judge issues. There's a way I look at things.
Okay.
And maybe it's because of my background as a lawyer.
Yeah,
all right?
It would also come into play.
There's an understanding I have about, in criminal law, for you to say that somebody have committed a crime, there are two elements. One, we call it the mens rea. The other one, we call it the actus reus. The mens rea is the criminal intention. That is, somebody had already intended to commit something. So now, the actus reus is the actual act that constitutes that crime. Now, I'll use it to explain my perception of that, of Peter Mbah's handling of the issue of sit at home. First is, I look at his mens rea, his intention. His intention is very pure, is very perfect. I agree with it completely. Sit at home, sometimes I ask, is anybody taking stock of what we have lost because we don't open on Mondays? If we are people that keep records and check things, the figures will be mind-boggling. You would also agree with me that there's no way we can make progress if we continue to sit down at home on Mondays. All right? So based on that, the fact that his intentions are pure are something that resonates with me and many other people. I keep that aside. Coming to his actus reus, his actual action, what did he do? He went to see Bola Ahmed Tinubu, appealed to him to release Nnamdi Kanu. And that same visit was where he first made that announcement that sit at home has ended. Now, I feel that's where he could have done things a little bit differently. Okay, I don't think that he should have come out openly like that. Why? Is because prior to this time, I live in Enugu. I mean, I've lived in Enugu all my life. So I know that prior to that time, there has been this softness with the sit at home. People now, personally, I go to work on Mondays. Okay, I am my own boss, so I go to work on Mondays. So I noticed then that even some businesses are beginning to open, gradually.
That's true.
So there's this gradual opening. So it's possible that if he hadn't come out openly to announce that, people will still continue with that trajectory of opening gradually,
until he
softly.
Forgot something.
Yes, but immediately he made that announcement, people became apprehensive. People felt that, this one that governor has said no sit at home anymore, that the boys who enforce it at home will now come out to forcefully, enforce it and all that. So that is the area I felt that he should have gone about it quite differently. And, so, but that said, the plan is a very good one that I support completely. In Igbo, we have this saying that, that is, there are some things that you can't achieve unless you struggle. It's a struggle. okay? And then looking at the pros and the cons, the benefits in having Enugu open up again. Do you know that there are records that state that under Ugwuanyi's administration, in years, Enugu did not attract one single foreign direct investment for 4 years. So people are afraid to come and set up businesses in Enugu.
That's true.
We don't know how much these things affect us. Now, a city, let's assume that I am an investor. I'm a foreign investor. They are telling me to come and invest in Enugu. And it doesn't take just few clicks of the button. I'll find out that this city that they're asking me to come and invest $10 million in, they don't work on Mondays. I won't put my money there. I also know as a fact that I won't mention the business, but it's a very big business. They are clients of mine. They at a point, the man had to put a policy that, see, if you work here, you must come to work on Mondays. If you don't come to work on Mondays, no problem. But I will not pay you. I will deduct your money. So you want to sit at home on Mondays because of insecurity, fine, no problem. Stay at home. But the people that can come to work on Monday, there is so and so amount of money you will earn for coming to work on Mondays. Now, notice, he's not forcing anybody. But he told me that immediately he set up that. It's a very big factory with factories in Enugu, in Anambra, and a national name. He said that immediately he made that policy, his workers voluntarily on their own started coming to work on Mondays. So you see the thing that, people, now this is a private person.
Sector, yeah.
He knows what his business loses because he doesn't work on Mondays. Now, check all the banks, check all the businesses, check schools. See, people don't know what we lose as a state because we don't work on Mondays. So it's a very sensitive thing. So, but in his wisdom, the governor now, in his wisdom, he felt that this is a battle that I must fight. And he went about it in a manner that he felt was okay to achieve his purpose. And for the fact that his intention was genuine, I don't have the mind to blame him strongly for that. But I feel that you should be able to look at the environment very well, see whether maybe doing it this way would be better. But obviously, he is not willing to look back at all from what I have seen.
Yeah.
Like you see his chief of staff releasing letters every now and then, telling civil servants, telling schools, see, you must open, telling even businesses, see, if you don't open, we'll shut down your market. We'll revoke your.
I see
you get
that.
the impression that this is somebody who is out to stop this.
But my other question now is: do you think that there is a link between that order and the current spate of insecurity in Enugu?
No, definitely. I think that these people who enforce these sit-at-home orders, in fact, it's not a secret. Simon Ekpa talks about Peter Mbah almost every day. He curses him out, he calls him names and all that. So it's not rocket science to, it's not difficult to see that they are not happy. The people who enforce this sit-at-home are not happy with him. Mm-hmm. So if they are still the same guys who go about, threaten people, kill people, flog school children, they won't take it lightly. They will want to fight back. Yeah. But like that Igbo adage I dropped. If you don't struggle in certain things, you can't achieve anything.
Okay. That's okay. So now you also talked about the fact that he tried to clean up Enugu. I must be very honest. The first few weeks after his assumption, I even made a personal tweet about it. We saw people working. In fact, the Esoma guys, I think they were now being on maybe 2 or 3 times roster in particular areas. You just like you rightly said, you go to some places, you see the bare floor, like something you've not seen in years and all that. But it seemed to also be a decline in that. You now see for some days they've not come. We're almost going back to the smello days and the smelly cat days. We're going back to the smelly cat days. So, and a few people have discussed it. We are saying things about him being distracted with the fact that he has a case going on in the tribunal that, he's for some reasons, he's neither here nor there. So that might have affected him. When you are onto something, that this is rightfully your position and you're fighting for this. And when you're like, this does not, tomorrow I feel no day here. So do you think that is impacting on the decline in the progress he sort of made in the first 2 weeks?
I don't think so. Okay. Now, let me put a caveat. I don't speak for Peter Mbah. I make these points as a private citizen that observe things and very, very interested in things that happen around me. Okay. Now, what I saw that happened when he came was that he saw that Enugu was very dirty. All of us can admit that. There was a special intervention it's a special package to let us clean up this city first. Let us clear all the dumps. So it is not the regular waste disposal mechanism. It is first for us to have a way of clearing waste in Enugu. The dumps that we have already, can we just do away with them first? Okay. So that was why we saw one of the first appointments he made was the white man. I think his name is Andreas Gebauer. Okay. There's other people working with them. I think you might know Dr. Pizzo, who is also working with him in that waste disposal thing. So they went to work very strongly. So that was first clearing the city first. Now it is possible. Okay. Now another thing I also observed was that they are trying to go back to the mechanized system of waste disposal that we saw last under the Sullivan administration, where we had automated trucks with special.
We had a test of good governance.
With special bins that that the truck will just come, pull in, automatically lift the waste, and so they are also bringing all that back. So you see, there's bound to be some. What you're noticing is I don't think is out of the ordinary. It's normal, in the sense that what they have done first is clear the entire city first. Then what we should be expecting to see now is the normal way that he intends to handle waste in Enugu.
Okay, his own
method now. Yeah, okay. So I think in the coming days and weeks, we should be able to see that. And I mean, we should also be watchful to call them out if we are seeing lapses. But it's good that they were first able to clear the entire city. Let's watch and see. Then another thing I heard they complained bitterly about was the activities of scavengers. Yeah. So how these scavengers
not just the me too. I have personal beef with those people.
Come in. So I know they also started installing cameras, to pick up scavengers. They are discouraging that practice very.
That would work
very heavily.
But if I'm to say something about the camera, I mean, it's not like I'm supporting evil, but let's just be realistic. This is Nigeria, where crime thrive. I mean, you can install camera today. Tomorrow, another person will uninstall it. I gotta sell it in Camp. And I hope there is also a measure to safeguard the cameras. Because you've seen what Sullivan did there. He put the rails, the whole thing. Tomorrow you wake up, they're no longer there. How did they disappear? It's human beings that actually went there to operate it. But I think this is something he should also fight for, since it's a fight, actually. It's a fight. So now, let's get to the most important part, the water. Just like every other thing, that first 2 weeks, he came with this ginger. And then even with his appointments, he was just a bit selective. I mean, even with the white guy he appointed, he got some sort of backlash. And I understood where he was coming from. So he was giving us that vibe of competence over wherever you are coming from. So it's not about, let me make it go around or go collect, and you recollect, these people collect. It's about who can do it best, even if it's a Chinese man. Because a lot of people spoke against the fact that after everything, all of us that studied engineering and geology, we know Rich Abi. Now, white guy go pick. Do you understand? Then he made Professor Onyeka the SSG. There was this, I've come to work. But at some point, it's either we are no longer being updated, or they are no longer being carried along, or they are no longer doing anything. Because at that point, I could beat my chest that maybe before the 180 days, we would have water. But to still be fair enough, this is day 52. or there's not been anything. And this goes beyond social media updates. So I'm not talking about social media updates or news or anything. I'm actually talking about actual work. I've not been able to drive around the city to see that, oh, this man that maybe digging up something, or news that maybe at Ngo or wherever they want to channel the water to there, there's some sort of either renovation or, an actual work that, because for you to achieve this in 180 days, you should have started some underground work, not that day. I mean, I'm not sure there is a switch you just have to turn on and everybody gets water. I recall with Sullivan when he attempted that, pipes were laid in people's homes, buildings got their pipes off, although I hope that they will still use those pipes and if they're still functional. But let's feel the impact. And I still say this, still relating it, but although I don't like to compare, but I would always look at what people are saying. The word on the streets there, Alex Oti of Abia, he's almost always working. You are seeing something. If he's not here carrying dirty, he's flagging off something. And you can feel the vibe and the temperature in the city. But right here is like everything has just gone back. The only time we see him is on Monday when he comes to inspect places that turned up against the sit at home. So these are the things he promised us. How, especially with the water parts. What Wagwan there, if I'm going to use that word.
With water, one thing I'm excited about is...
you're excited? Okay.
Yes, I'm excited about something.
Okay.
He gave a timeline, 180 days.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I know people who count down every day for him.
I just said we are day 52 today.
They count down for him and they tag him and tell him today is this X, Y, Z. He's now remaining so and so number.
Okay.
Why it is exciting is because, if there is an opportunity to show that this guy has failed, this is, all we need to do is to just wait for 180 days to elapse. Then we will drag him by whichever part of his body we want to drag him by.
Okay.
Now, but coming to what you have said, yes, appointment. He appointed the white guy, and it's interesting because we talked about waste before, right? When all those times that Enugu was getting dirty, assuming it was a Japanese guy that was cleaning up the mess, would you bother? Your interest would be that my city is clean. I don't care if it is somebody from China or somebody from one place I don't know, right? The important thing for me is that the thing
there's job being done.
All right. So for whatever reason he chose somebody who he feels will do the job for him, fine. They are still the same set of people, he appointed working on the water scheme. What they are doing now, I don't know. I can't tell. But where my interest is in, let us wait for the 180 days to elapse. And if when we turn our tap and we don't see water, then we'll tell him, Oga, you produce the videos. Here, you promised us 180 days. So, okay. But I want to believe that they are working. I know I have seen some social media updates at the time where they went to inspect some.
Yeah, that was then.
Yeah, that
was that 2 weeks
so,
time.
What they are doing now, I don't have the information exactly. Okay. But I know that there are existing pipelines. There are some areas in Enugu that still get water. If you turn on, when water is pumped, they still get water now. So let us start with those areas first. Okay. Of course, there are new areas that new pipes needs to be laid.
Yeah.
I recall it should be around 2010, 2011. Sullivan was busy, sending pipes all over places that haven't had pipes before. So I expect that he also get to all that. Then coming to the appointments, yes, it appears to me that he's choosing people irrespective of where they are coming from. There's this Yoruba guy that
for ESBS.
Yes, so things like that. You see, it's not that. It's very good to empower your people, give your people opportunity. Okay, you can't underestimate that. Okay. But in certain key areas where you feel that there is somebody who has very high level of expertise, it's not wrong to bring such people in for the fact that that person being there will have the unique opportunity of also training your people who will work. Nobody will do the work alone, right? Yeah. There are people who are at ESBS already. Okay, so working with this guy, understudying him, being under his leadership, there's no way his wealth of knowledge and expertise will not rub off on other people.
That's true.
Other people can step up to that level so that if tomorrow he moves on, there's somebody competent who is from here that can take over. So that's not a bad thing. What is most important is that we have the right people manning the right places.
Okay, so that is that. And well, you said something about the appointment and why he. In fact, the fact is this. There's something I want to say. There's also a way of supporting your people. I mean, we're all about competence over region or where you're from and all that. Although I didn't have issues with the people he appointed, but I also feel right now we are talking about it. I think it wouldn't be bad if he had appointed some of the people, I mean locals. I mean, there are still people with good brains, and we know how Nigeria works. It's also about empowerment and all that. And how sure are you that this other person that was brought in will not bring his own people and sort of relegate these other people? I don't want to be that our people, their people thing. I'm always about result oriented, but to an extent, these things come to empower people. Do you understand? But that aside, you said something about Sullivan and the pipes and all that. I'm really looking forward to that. And I wouldn't be happy if it gets to day 180 and the water is not running. You know why? Because we've been in a country where people go back on their words and it's like nothing is happening. You don't hold nobody accountable. The most we can do is to, like you said, drag like Tiger Jen. You're not seeing him. He's out of reach. You can't go to government house to beat him or even to make him to do that. So it would really, really be a slight on all of us if he does not do that. However, it would be a very nice thing if he does it. That is just the truth. Because, I mean, what did Buhari promise us? What is happening? Tinubu is here and we are all suffering it. And if he goes back and does worse, so one day we'll wake up and we don't have money to subscribe to even do the dragging. So I'm no longer about the dragging. I'm about the work. Let's just get the work done. People elected you for these reasons. And like I said, initially the first 2 weeks, I was really, like, okay, let's see. But at some point, it seemed like everything had died down and we're not seeing the project. We're not even being updated media-wise and all that. And another thing is, I don't know, is it because of the petition or anything that he hasn't made his appointment? Is there a timeline to that, or is he waiting to be sure before he does that?
I wouldn't think he's waiting for the petition.
Okay.
It's true that it is possible that the petition might contribute a certain quantum of a distraction, all right? But I mean, when Buhari was elected in 2015, I think he spent about 6 to 7 months before he appointed his ministers.
When he traveled, came back, rats occupied his office and he couldn't go.
But then it's for me it's a big turn off. If somebody is, in fact, by the time, if I'm running for office as an example, if I'm the person running for office, immediately I win an election, it is expected that I should start to immediately plan and make decisions on the people that I will appoint to certain offices. This election we are talking about held in March. I think it was 18th March. Yeah, so he was declared winner about a week after.
Yeah, I think 25th or so.
Yes. So by the end of March, he was already the governor-elect.
Yes.
That period between the end of March, April, and ending of May, 29th May, when he was inaugurated, I would think that is sufficient time to make the necessary decisions on the team. Because, I mean, governing a state is quite a tough one. You can't do it alone.
Yeah.
You have to have people that share your vision and the ideas that you campaigned on. You have to bring them in to run the government with you. We have ministries, I think, I don't know, but up to more than between 12 to 17 ministries in Enugu. Each of them will need a commissioner. There are boards all over the place. There are key parastatals that fall under your control that you need to put in people. Because, you see, without the right people, he cannot achieve the things he promised.
I totally agree with you.
So, I am not pleased by the fact that we have stayed. This is the end of July, and we are yet to have commissioners manning the ministries. And you see, we mentioned the sit-at-home thing earlier, and how he could have done things differently. This is my own idea. I feel that to achieve that, he could have achieved that without coming out openly to say that. If I were in that position or to advise him, I would have said, first, appoint your commissioners. Sell your ideas to your commissioners. Tell them, see, guys, we are not sitting at home on Mondays anymore. Every commissioner, go to your ministry and discuss with the people there on how to start opening.
Yeah.
First, a commissioner can come and say, okay, the permanent secretary and all the directors, this is a handful of people. Let us start working first. Then from there, you come down to the deputy directors. Then by the time the lower cadre see that their superiors are coming to work, it will give them encouragement. They'll be like, our guys are coming to work. So when the commissioners now, in fact, it should not be the commissioners and the head of the parastatals that will champion that. It doesn't necessarily need to come from the governor directly, because that was what made, gave it publicity. So, but assuming a commissioner in his office calls a meeting of all the staff, comes, say, guys, see, we have to start coming to work on Mondays. It will not make the news, but you see that ministry will start working. While this ministry is working, the other one is working, the other one is working. That it doesn't have to come out big on social media like that. You see, that is one of the advantages of picking your team. So I'm not pleased by the fact that he hasn't picked his commissioners. I think whether it is issues between having to pick the regular PDP stakeholders and then the set of people that he wants to pick, however it is, he has to resolve it and resolve it quickly for his visions to start coming to life. And
for Enugu to move forward.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you for that. And to add to that, another thing I expect him to do or to look into is the issue of housing. And by housing, I mean the structures that are coming up everywhere. Like, I don't know who is giving these people permits to build in these places. And then the deforestation we witnessed in the previous government, God have mercy on us. I wouldn't want us to go through that phase again. But when I talk about this housing thing, you know what I'm talking about? Like, how would you want to build close to a river? That, I mean, it's not wise. What's the word? Let's say uncensored. Uncensored is not the word, but let's just use uncensored for the lack of a better word. The uncensored structures being erected everywhere, and it's turning Enugu. I think we are moving away from the master plan now to whoever that owns the biggest, to the highest bidder. Like, if you decide tomorrow you want to shut down New Haven Junction for a plaza, you can do that, and that doesn't make sense. And I think it's something Peter Mbah and his team should look into.
Chivera, I noticed something. I don't know if any other person noticed it. Towards the last few months of the last administration, in certain places, houses were springing up with great speed.
Yes.
The sense it gave me was that these people are aware that, they shouldn't build here, or that they didn't acquire the property through the proper channel.
Means, yeah.
So for them to, because of course it is an administration that is ending, they just were speeding to complete a building, a structure there, moving, so that by the time a new government will come, a structure is already existing there. I observed that in certain places. Some places in old GRA. Now you can imagine that this is a government area. Then of course, some areas along Ekulu River. Okay,
that's the height of it.
I mean, very, very, there's no way that thing will be proper. I don't know. So that still comes back to picking your team. Assuming there is a commissioner for lands who takes charge, then the person should be able to look at, acquisitions of land, especially government lands. How were they done? So.
And what are they being used for? All right, so I totally agree with you. And the fact that most of these things were done illegally, it's more reason why Peter Mbah should step up, appoint people that will take charge, and whatever means necessary, Enugu should be restored to what Enugu used to be. I believe there is room for evolution, improvement, and all that, but not deviating away from the original plan of a city. There was this vibe Enugu gives when you look at it, structure-wise.
Yes, well planned.
Yes, everything. But right now it's like jaga movements. Whatever you want to do, you do. Filling stations being set up where there's not supposed to be filling stations, gas plants. It's like if you have money, just come and throw it in Enugu, and it doesn't make sense.
Like I said, it boils down to picking your team.
Okay.
Now, it's true that structures have gone up in certain places, but
can they still be demolished?
Definitely.
Okay.
It is not the first. If it happens now, it will be the first time it's happening in Enugu. Okay. All so right. People should learn that government is. If a government is in power today, and then because that government is in power, you think you can do just about anything.
Yeah.
One day that government will go, another government will come, and they can look into what the previous government have done and decide to make amends. So, you see, people should learn a lesson from these things. You can spend hundreds of millions, tens of millions, and build a structure in a place that you shouldn't build. A government can come and look at it and tell you and show you that really you shouldn't have built here. And then the next thing is to bring the place down. And then you would have lost money. You would have lost, suffered a whole lot of time.
So now this is more like a cry or a call to both government and people, because it's actually human beings that are doing these things, and we should do better. All right, so this is where we draw the curtain for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I mean, I didn't want this to end, but so far so good. If I'm to rate Peter Mbah's administration, well, let me do that. So far, for the 52 days he's been over 10, what would you say?
That's a tough one.
Shall do it.
That's
we
a
do
tough
top
one.
10s.
Yes. Now I'll rate him somewhere between 6 and 7.
Okay.
Now that would sound like a high score.
Yes.
All right. And the reason is because he has done some started well. I like to be fair. I think these are still early days. So that rating of between 6 and 7 can either go up or come down if we have this conversation again in the next 6 months.
Before 6 months, I think we would have that, because I think we would have these after the tribunal result comes down. At least by then, he's sure that he's the person or he's not the person. So if he remains there, we'll come back and evaluate what he's done so far. But me personally, I would give him a 5. I wanted to say 4, but I'm giving him the 5 based on the fact that, well, I mean, he hasn't done 100 days. He started off well, like you said, but that expectations we had sort of fell very flat. And I want to see more than well-saturated pictures on social media. I want to see more work done. I want to see the city come back. I want to see appointments, reasonable appointments. And I also want to see him not toe the path of previous PDP or the previous administration that did a whole lot of nepotism. I want things to go across board. I want competent people to come in. I want Enugu to be the city where we used to be proud of, right? During Sullivan. And I want him to exceed Sullivan and Chimarike if possible. I mean, Sullivan is not like the standard. But I hope Mbah will become more than that. And of course, he should please bring back our nightlife. Keke and buses still close at 9, right? Which doesn't make sense for a city as bubbly as Enugu. So that's that. Thank you so much, Okamade, for coming. Maybe next time when we're on this set, we'll have to wear the t-shirt branded Okamade. If you watch to this point, thank you so much. Let me know in the comment section what you think so far. If you live in Enugu, what do you think of Peter Mbah's administration? Are you hopeful that it will get better? Or what do you think? Let me know. I know a lot of you supported him during the election for different reasons. Let me know in the comments. If you're outside of Enugu, what do you think he can do better? What are your expectations? What area do you think he should look in? And, just let's discuss and have, very civil conversation in the comment section. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Like this video, share it with your friends and your family, and I'll see you in my next episode. Bye-bye.